Here we go. We are on. So Monique, we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monique, also known as Monique The Stylist. I am a beauty confidence coach. If I had to put it in words, I consider myself a beauty and fashion influencer. I do have my own salon here in Rochester Hills, Michigan, as well as I curate pop-up shops every quarter to Chicago, Illinois, Atlanta, Georgia, and LA. So yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that. My specialty is microlinks and keratin tips. So like kind of a high-end luxury hair extensions, and I enjoy doing them and teaching others how to do them as well. Prior to my corporate dropout phase, I would say, I have 12 years of sales leadership experience from the corporate side. I've done business sales as well as I banked quite a while doing mortgage banking. So yeah, and I essentially pretty much every job I've had since graduating from college has been commission based. And I was just like, hey, if I'm doing all this work to make sure I get a check, because the commission world is not guaranteed salaries. But if I'm doing all this work to make sure that I'm going to get a check, I can be doing all this work and getting a check for myself, right? So that kind of paved the way for me for entrepreneurship is coming from a background where I've always worked in sales, where my performance always dictated how much I was going to make. And it's been going well for me. I have owned my own salon. Probably for the last 8 years, I've transitioned locations in the name, but essentially I've been a brick and mortar owner for the past 8 years. I attribute that to my young teenage days selling Avon to all my friends, families, my mom's coworkers, everybody selling Girl Scout cookies. I'm selling Avon. So I guess I was just destined to be an entrepreneur. And here I am.
Sounds like it. And I think it's really interesting because people make fun of the pyramid companies like Avon and Pampered Chef, but it gives you valid skills.
Yeah, and I think with those kind of companies, you have to realize too, what I tell anybody with any multi-level marketing companies, yes, people do well with them that really hone in and focus straight on them. But what you have to think of it as a source of income, right? So when they say we're supposed to have so many, I think it's at least 7 streams of income. The way I look at it is, even if Avon only makes me $200 or $300 a month, I mean, as a teenager, that was a lot of money. But if it only made me 200 at this point, if I was doing it, if it only made me $200 or $300 a month, I look at it like, okay, my lights, gas, and water is paid for every month.
Exactly.
I just look for something to cover all of my liabilities so that the money that I do make actual doing labor, doing hair, I can save it or invest it into another asset. And that's the goal. So
awesome. 8 years. That's pretty, you an old timer here. Did you tell us what the name of your business is in Rochester Hills?
I'm sorry, it's Clutch and Curl Sophisticated Hair Care. And then I just recently launched by way of doing hair and working with high-end clients at a high level. I found myself being asked a lot of fashion advice. Clients love the way I dress, they love my expertise, and they already trust me for taking care of their hair. And they kind of go hand in hand. Beauty and fashion go hand in hand. So I started getting asked to pull outfits for photo shoots, style mood boards, things like that. So I tried to, over the summer, I tried doing both, like doing hair and doing wardrobe consulting, but it was kind of the time that it takes to put into it and to really develop those clients. It was kind of taken away from my main business. So just last week, I actually launched a small boutique collection called Stately Sophisticate. And what it was is I'm like, okay, obviously people are buying from me or they're asking me to help them with their look or their image and their brand because they trust my opinion or they like the way I carry myself. So what if I can think of a way to just sell them something based on my handpicked selection? So that's what I did. So I handpicked some items, had them made with really quality material based on my personal taste and style. They're all statement pieces. Everything is, cocktail looks, go on a brunch, ladies' night, date night, those type of items. And I tried to make sure they were all easy to style with things you already have at home. So just an easier way for me to not take away from the business I'm doing while still showing up and serving others to, give that overall beauty confidence experience. Because essentially I'm selling confidence, not hair, not extensions, not clothes. I'm selling the confidence. So
yeah, I love it. And I love your business name, Clutch and Curls. It's so cute.
thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we, of course, we're going to link all the information in the show notes so people can find you. And I'm going to look up your statement pieces when we're done. Because
Awesome.
I don't think I saw it on your website yet. So,
Oh yeah. Yep.
cool. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction. So next we're going to go to Lee and hear about her journey so far.
Well, hi, thank you for having me. This is just really, really nice. It's so nice to meet all of you. So I own Busted Bra Shop. Busted Bra Shop has 6 locations. We are 2 in Detroit, which is where we started, 2 in the city of Chicago, 1 in Rochester Hills, and also 1 in Ann Arbor. So we opened up 3 of them really since the pandemic started. So that's been kind of crazy. But before I owned these stores, which I'm in my 9th year now, closing in on 10 soon, I've done all kinds of things. I was really scattered. I had a great time in life. I'm a disabled veteran. So I joined during the first Gulf War into the military. I was in the Navy and I loved what I did there. I worked on computers. I was an actress. I've been a singer in a band. I've always done a side gig somewhere. And in Detroit, my journey started with a cafe that I owned called Cafe Detroit or Cafe Detroit, done from 2003 to 2006. And we were there right in the downtown area when they were building CompuWare and behind the old Hudson site when it was just like demoed. So we were right back there on Library Street where I made some of my best friends in the whole world and really got into an entrepreneurial journey that I had never seen before. All of the working with employees, working with landlords, learning the art of negotiation, finding out about really inventory control. I had done it as a manager in different stores and with different companies, but had never really done it for myself until I had the cafe. The cafe was an amazing journey. And I will never give that up and miss it all the time. It was like my first kid. Crazy, right? But then the company that my husband worked for moved us out to Germany. And that's when you really have to sit back and go, who am I? What am I doing here? I can't work in this country because I don't have the work visa. So I had to figure things out. And one of the things I fell in love with was lingerie, and remembering that the women in Detroit didn't have a place to buy lingerie, and to get a bra was very difficult, but it's something that we have in our wardrobe. It is a staple in our lives every day. You know, imagine if you are a woman of size with your breasts, but just think of boobs, right? And you go to work without a bra, you're going to get taken into the HR department to talk about your wardrobe and that's going to be a discussion. So why couldn't we buy a bra in the city we live in? That to me was insane. So we didn't move back here. We moved to the Carolinas after having a kid. And one night I just woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning and said, the women in Detroit need bras. And my husband's like, then go get a job at a bra shop and figure it out. So I did. I went and worked for a lady she was a 3rd generation bra fitter, and she taught me the ropes, and we moved back to Detroit specifically to open up Busted.
No way.
Totally. Yep. So we sold everything. I mean, we sold everything. The furniture my grandparents gave us, we sold everything, and we moved up here for this. And it's been an amazing journey to be able to help not just my customers, but also the people who work for us, to give women a safe place to work and, you know, be able to help other people. It's rewarding on many levels. But it's also, you know, it's a journey, right? It's
it
a thing.
is.
Yeah.
And fun fact, I just got back from Germany on Sunday. I'm half German.
Are you?
Yeah, I grew up in Germany.
We were near Stuttgart in a little town called Nürtingen.
Okay.
And my German is terrible, but I have the best time trying to impress everyone. My dad spoke fluent German and wrote. He was a very good writer in that language. But yeah, I also work with German companies, and every once in a while I'll throw out a word and they're like, yeah, you're totally not doing that right. I'm like, I know.
It's a hard language, but yeah, my
It's
parents got
wonderful.
divorced when I was 6. So when I was 6, I moved to Germany as a kid and grew up over there. And when my mom couldn't stop me, I came back to the States when I was grown. So I always thought I had to go back.
My kid was born there.
Yeah, mine
Yep.
was too.
Yeah, fantastic place to have a kid, but you know, whatever.
Absolutely. I stayed home for 3 years and got paid.
Amazing socialist society. Who knew? Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So Lola.
Hey.
Hi.
It's so nice to meet you all. This is such an honor and pleasure, Michelle. Thank you for thinking of me. Lee, I have a problem with my chest area. So I completely.
We have solutions. We have them.
We will go and visit
And
one of her stores.
Yes, definitely. So you're doing great things, and same to you, Monique. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you ladies. One thing I love about I'm sorry to jump back and forth, but my good friend of mine just got sworn in as a judge, and one of our mutual friends a couple days ago was her investiture. She gave a speech, and she said the first piece of advice I'm going to give to this entire audience is that ladies need to keep empowering other ladies.
Yes.
And I felt like that was so important, and it resonated. And especially, knowing that I'm doing this podcast today, it's such an honor to be with other ladies, other entrepreneurs, women who understand the dynamics of having to run businesses, in a society where it took us several years to get to this point, right? But we're all here, and we're doing great. So God willing. So with that being said, again, my name is Lola Alzane. I own a title agency. I actually own 2 of them in Dearborn, Michigan. My title agency turns 9 years old in February.
Awesome.
And and it's been an incredible journey, really cool. I reviewed the questions, Michelle, that you sent us, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'm interested to hear what Lee and Monique have to say about their hardships, starting their businesses and getting past that and overcoming all those hurdles and growing your business at the same time. So it's been a heck of a journey, one that I've truly embraced, and I'm still going. The journey hasn't ended.
Right.
And I'm not sure if there's questions you have for me, but right now, yeah, I'm a mom of 2. And are you, Lee, are you a mom? You are? Yeah, you said that your baby was born in Germany.
Yeah, I'm a mom of 1. He's a teenager now. So yeah.
And Monique, are you a mom?
Yes, I have a 3-year-old.
Oh, okay, good. All right, awesome. Yes, I have 2 little girls. And Michelle, you're a mom, right?
Mine is 26.
Okay, awesome. Okay, good, nice. Yeah, so I'm a mom of 2, and I love being able to have discussions with other entrepreneurs who are moms,
Right.
and like the daily hardships and struggles that we have to deal with, because we can resonate with one another, and that's important.
And it wasn't even meant to, when I started the podcast, it wasn't necessarily only for women or, to interview women, but when I just like it that way, to empower, like you said, to hear our stories and exchange information and empower each other, because it's so needed. It's just.
For sure. Definitely.
So Lola, what did you do before you had your title agency?
So I actually, I was in law school.
Okay.
So when I was a teenager, I worked at a mortgage company. And then at 16, I was approached by this young lady who's my neighbor now, who opened up a title agency. And she said, hey, do you want to work with me? And I said, sure, I would love to. So I joined her team, and then I grew there. I left while I was finishing my undergrad. And then as soon as I graduated from U of M with my undergrad, I went to law school, and then I was in property law, and I knew so much about property law because of my experience at the title agency for 4 years. And I thought to myself, man, like, I want to get back into this. If I practice any type of law, it's going to be either real estate law, or I'm getting back into the title company business. So when I graduated, I saw there were at the time in Michigan 6 underwriters to get signed by. You have to go through like a bunch of checks and get approved and look at a rigorous interview process. 5 of them denied me in 2014, and 1 of them gave me a shot.
Really?
And yeah. And it's funny because one of them that didn't, I'll never forget the company, one of the companies that denied me, he was an agent for them. And he said, I want to approve you so bad, but I can't go past upper management. Like they're the ones that rejected your application. And he said, it was because I was so young. And he said, but I know you're going to thrive in this industry and I wish you the best of luck, versus another underwriter who told me, you're never going to last. Just basically like, give it up. But when she said that to me, it fueled my soul. It fired me up. It made me want to prove that, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to kill it. Because just like Monique, like I've been in sales basically my entire life. Even when I was working at undergrad, I was working at a retail store. When I was completing my undergrad, I was working at a retail store at the mall, and we had to always compete as to who's going to get the highest amount of sales, right? So I knew I was good at sales. And essentially that's what being a business owner is. Entrepreneurship is, how good are you at sales and what could you do to grow those sales? And leaders create leaders. So you got to create a team that's going to essentially become like a replica of you, of who you are, right. And that's exactly what I focus on. So it's been a cool journey. Last year I graduated with my MBA from University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, School of Business of Ross. It was unfortunate. It was during the pandemic.
Right.
So we didn't get to really enjoy the graduation ceremony. And the last year was all through, all via Zoom. But it was also a cool journey, networking and meeting other people that are in a very, high network. So it was
I don't know if it's just me, you're breaking up a little, Lola. Is she breaking up for you guys, Monique? Yeah.
Oh. Okay, is this better?
I think so. I can hear you again.
Hold on one second. Let's
see.
I don't know.
While we wait for Lola to get back on, Lee, which of your stores are you in right now? Which background is this?
I'm in the Jefferson Chalmers store, which is our flagship store right at the corner of Jefferson and Chalmers. Look for the pink graffiti that says Busted Bra Shop. And yeah, it's a big store. It's one that my husband and I designed with Pipe and Drape, which I have a lot of fun kind of figuring out spaces and how can we make this retail space out of something funky. So yeah, Jefferson and Chalmers.
On the east side.
Yeah, it's closed right now, so I thought this would be a good place to be.
Right. But back to Lola, you broke off when you were saying it's kind of sad that you didn't get to have the whole MBA, excitement, graduation. Yeah. And what I meant to say, when you have your 10 years full, you have to, send this guy a card who denied you and said you will never make it. So when you
was actually the guy Brian told me I will thrive. It was the female, a female who denied me and said I will never make it in this industry and to just not even try. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So you need to send her a card when your 10-year anniversary, like, oh, I never made it. Oh, psych, yes, I did. Women should empower each other. Not put young women down. And but you have your business and you went after your MBA. So as a business owner that's building her own and has several locations already, why did you feel like you should get your MBA still?
So I'm a big what's next person. I'm actually reading a book called 3 Things That a CEO Needs to Learn. I believe that's the name of it, or 3 Things That a CEO Needs to Know. And most CEOs and entrepreneurs always have that, okay, what's next? What am I going to do next? Right. For most entrepreneurs, it's not that it's never enough, but it's kind of never enough. So we're always looking for that what's next move. And the reason why I chose to get my MBA is because, one, it's something I've always wanted to do. My background wasn't in business when I graduated. It was in political science. My major was in political science. So I just wanted to see what the business world was all about. And then the network that I built was wow at Ross. So it was important for my network as well. I still communicate with the majority of my class members.
Awesome. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So funny story, really fast. My bachelor's was in political science, and I had went to
okay.
law school, did really well with the LSAT, was going to law school, had my schedule and everything. And then a week before, financial aid sent me a statement, and it was like $130,000, just kind of giving me an outlook of what my loans would be. And I was like, am I still passionate about this, or is this, or is law just something that I thought I wanted to do in third grade and I'm just sticking to the path? So literally a week before classes started, because I was doing a combination of Juris Doctor and MBA, I dropped the Juris Doctorate program and just did the MBA because I just felt more confident that whatever I do, I could use the MBA. But I was starting to see some of my friends that were older than me graduate with law degrees, and now all of a sudden it went from being a disparity to like floodgates open. Basically, they were all having a hard time finding jobs, and I got nervous.
Yeah.
$130,000, I'm not willing to take that chance.
Right.
So it's so funny, and then I ended up getting my MBA. So it's so funny that you took kind of a similar path.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Am I breaking up again or no?
Yeah, a little bit.
But now you're back.
Am I breaking up again? Oh, okay. During when I graduated from in the middle of my law school journey, I had an internship at the prosecutor's office. And at the time, prosecutors were graduating and making $38,000 a year. Okay. So I'm sorry, law students were graduating making that much. So I had an internship and I couldn't find a parking spot in Detroit. There was a ton of construction. This is the year 2011. Okay. And at the time I was married, I'm divorced now, but at the time I was married and I called my husband crying. I'm like, I'm so late to this interview. He's like, that's okay. You could still make it. It was 9:10. My interview was at 9. I walked in at 9:25 and the lady looked at me and said, sorry, I'm not even interviewing you. And I was in tears. And I said, I got here early. I just couldn't find a spot. And she said, sorry, like, we're not doing it. And I felt so discouraged, but that was such a blessing in disguise. Because that was God saying, this is not for you. You can do so much bigger and better.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm so grateful for that. So
that's how it goes. Sometimes we think it's the end of the world, but actually it's the beginning of something new.
definitely. So yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah, but we're going to hop into some questions now. I'm going to start with Lee because she was laughing when I was saying, hey, how did you plan out your journey? Well, Lee was in South Carolina or in the Carolinas just dreaming about us women in Detroit that didn't have bras. So.
Well, it's funny, you guys, you asked what we did beforehand, and I didn't even think about the fact that I was a chemist.
Oh.
And yeah, but getting that degree was really just kind of showing my dad I could do anything he could do, right? But I really liked sales and owning my own, creating my own world, so to speak. But I didn't have a plan. All I knew is that people needed bras, and there was a contest called the Hatch Detroit contest. And in 2011, I watched one of my friends win it. Mm-hmm. And he won. He had a business, and he did a huge Detroit, and he got $50,000 from this contest. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to Detroit, and they're going to love my idea. It's going to be amazing. And I joined the Hatch contest, and I got in there, and I did a great job, and I failed spectacularly. And I got so many women who wanted us to win, but a beer company won over a bra company. Because, we need more places to go drink beer.
Right.
So, and they're doing great. They're a great company. And I'm still a Hatch alum because I was in the top 10. But it made me so mad that I did it anyway. And when my friends called me and said, how much money do you need? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even figured this all out. I don't have a place to be. I got a small little office. And I said, I'm just going to build it. I'm just going to find out how much I can make and figure this out. So I've got 2 different companies to send me bras, and I bought them from them. I had a little bit of money, like $12,000 is what I cobbled together from friends and family and savings. And I used half of it to buy inventory, and I turned the boxes over and I covered them with pleather and made it look like a very professional countertop.
Okay.
took my grandmother's card table and I covered it with something pretty to make a desk, and I would do private appointments. Private appointments, please come in. I can definitely fit you, because we got the momentum from the hatch contest.
Yeah.
And so that really got me going. And a lot of times you'll discover that with entrepreneurs, if we say we're going to do something out loud, then somebody's going to hold you to it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you say it out loud to other people, they're going to hold you accountable. And so, I mean, we'd made a pretty big production that we were doing this. So we did it. A few months into selling out of that little office, the landlord at the Park Shelton came to me and said, I have a space that was a storage space. I could turn that into a retail spot for you, but you have no windows, you have no sign. You know, do you think you can make this happen? Like, you give me a few months free rent, I can. And he said, great, I'll build it for you. And he didn't charge me to build it. He just did. He had a wife and daughters that were blessed. So he knew the struggle for them. And that was good. You know, somebody saw the value in it.
Yeah.
And I opened up right there. So then I had to figure out a plan. And then I got employees. That's a whole different ball game. I'd never had employees like that before. I'd only had like a couple, and it was, you know, food service, and they got tips. This is a whole different animal.
Right.
So in 2017, so for almost 4 years in, I got accepted into the Goldman Sachs program.
Mm-hmm.
And wrote a formal plan, talked with financial people, and figured out what budgeting I really, really needed, because we had just been going kind of on a wing and a prayer and the skin of our teeth the whole time. But sometimes you do have to step out, jump off that cliff, and figure out how you're going to land. So far, we're still kind of gliding through. We haven't landed yet.
Well, with 6 stores, I would hope that you know, there must be something in your books that tells you can open more stores, because you're even in different states now.
We're in different states, yeah. And we made it through the really, really hard times with help with a good team. I've got a regional manager that is so passionate about it. You know, she's in it every day. We've got different people involved who really help make it go. And if something happens to me, that the store still continues. The management here is pretty strong, and they enjoy what they're doing, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's just been a real blessing. And sometimes it does feel like you're on this roller coaster where you have an idea and it works, and you're just kind of coast along, and you got to go around one curve, but you make it, and then you coast a little bit more. You know, that roller coaster ride can be terrifying for some people, but for entrepreneurs, we kind of thrive off of it.
Thrive on it, right? I think so.
It's our extreme sport, right? And really, you're throwing your soul out there with ideas on marketing. What if somebody doesn't like it? That can happen really, really fast. The plans have to get put on paper, but nobody necessarily has the perfect plan in the beginning. And that's why I laugh, because really, sometimes you make your plan and the universe says, I thought that was cool, but you know, maybe you should do it this way.
So what I'm hearing, so you guys really moved, you moved from out of state to Detroit because you remember from living here that we don't have a place to go to, for a good bra. And I really tip my hat to anybody, which is all 3 of you, who has a brick and mortar. So that means you have rent to pay, even though you had a couple of months no rent. But you have to have inventory. You cannot, sell and spread the word if, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a reality show where there was this lady who didn't have inventory, but you need to have inventory so people can buy the bra and, and tell others, this is a great space to go to. So if you had $12,000, I can see those $12,000, evaporating real quick between, space, just overhead, inventory. Right. Did you work while you build it, or did your husband work to support you guys, or how did
My
you guys?
husband still works to support us guys. And I didn't make a salary for years. I mean, very little, very meager, and made sure that the employees got paid before we did. And you know, all the entrepreneurial books out there will say you have to pay yourself, and you do, but at some point you have to build a way to pay yourself. And you struggle with that type of thing as well. And sometimes you have to close stores and then reopen in other areas because maybe the area that you were in or the landlord that you worked with didn't work out. And that's happened a few times where we've had to pivot in a different way. So when 2020 hit, you know, I'd already figured out other things to do. I was like, okay, this is just another place to pivot and figure out some other way to go. And that's when our online store opened. So technically, I guess I have 7.
Yeah, because online fulfillment is a whole new job as well. Like it's a whole new task, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And it's not something that people want to do with my products, but people have moved away and they can't find a place in their local area to get our products, or they don't like the service at that spot. What we do is very specialized. It is actually called a specialty sector in the lingerie industry because we do the sizing up to a P cup and beyond, because I have things made in Poland, and then up to a 56 band. You don't find that in mainstream stores. And then we just have such service. So people will buy online and they travel to us too. So we've had people as far away as Washington State, California, Maine, New York City. I get a lot of people from New York who fly over to Detroit and for shopping in specialty stores like ours.
That is so funny. You wouldn't think, would you?
I know,
I
right?
think they have it right there.
Yeah,
You know,
they have everything.
What I also like about your journey, I'm sorry. What I also like about your journey that you utilize resources. You participated in the Hatch competition and Goldman Sachs. So I'm sure Hatch brought you a lot of, because I feel like I might know your store from the competition.
Oh, maybe. And it's a great competition. Get involved if you can in one way or the other.
Yeah. I tried for Goldman Sachs before I got into like one of the end rounds, but I didn't make it. But it brings you exposure, first of all, and you know they gave you your first wave. So I like how you utilized what we have in Detroit, which is different resources that as entrepreneurs we can, it helped me in the beginning, how to set up my entity, what legal entity, which we're going to briefly touch on as well. So I like hearing that, that it helped. And even if you didn't win, like you said, your first customer still came from the competition.
They did, or from the spouses of the people that beat me, which was kind of cute. There's all kinds of things that Detroit has to offer for entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs. I mean, and DEGC is out there, and there's all different kind of groups. This is a community. This is a magic city in a way that we really do work with each other, and we support each other, and we find people with like thoughts, with where we want to help our community, we want to help each other, and we learn how to network. It's always been so friendly here, and I think that's the other reason why I moved back, is that I just wasn't finding that in other places. Mm-hmm. Where you walked into a room and people went, "Well, hi, how are you? Welcome, thank you very much." I'll just walk right in.
So Monique, same for you. So you were in sales, so you had the confidence that you could sell your services, but how did you prepare for your own salon? You have a very niche service with your Microlinks, and I can just imagine that a storefront in Rochester is not the cheapest in Rochester Hills. So how did you put everything together and plan your exit to your own business?
Well, first and foremost, I was not prepared, to say the least. I remember my very first location. I was right in Detroit, right in the heart of Detroit, actually. And I had been looking for salon suites. Like I wanted to just be in a position where I went into another salon, but I wanted to have my own private area. This is before like actual salon suites came out though. So it was a very odd thing to be able to find salons with like a back room. So I had found one online. I think it was like one of the real estate websites or what have you. And I went and looked at it, and the guy wanted an astronomical price. It still needed build out. And of course, you know, I would have to buy a lot of different equipment and things like that. But I just remember when I was in business school, I had a professor that told me that everything is negotiable. So I figure on one hand, Monique, you really can't afford this. But what you're going to do is you're not going to waste your time. You're going to at least shoot your shot. So I did. So I told him, you know, I had some other places to look at, but I will follow up with him. He followed up with me in 24 hours because he really liked the way I carry myself and my level of professionalism. And he really wanted me as a tenant. And I explained to him, I said, well, just, you know, looking back historically, I see that this building has been on the market for 14 months. And we're actually at the end of the fall going into the winter. So the likelihood that someone's actually going to get this, you're going to get this building off of your hands before next year is slim to none. So what I actually need is build out. So the long and short of it is I was able to come into that salon. I was able to negotiate my overhead, like for my rent or what have you, out for 90 days before I had to start paying it. And he provided all of my build out, as well as like the equipment, the dryers, the chairs, everything that I needed, because in the long run, it was going to actually make him more money than it just sitting there. And if I was to leave, now he has a turnkey business.
Right.
So it was kind of like, at first he kind of laughed at me because he was an older gentleman, and he was just like, you want me to spend money to make money? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do all this stuff for you just so you can have a business? But I think he sat and thought about what I said, like, geez, this building might sit for another year and I'm definitely not getting anything. So at least this way, yeah, you may have spent 10 or 15,000, but now you're going to make 30, 40,000, you know, just off of rent.
Right.
So yeah, so that's how I got that. But I even then I didn't fully immerse myself. I opened it up as a booth rent type establishment. So I had other stylists in there that would pay me booth rent every week. And I would only work there like once a week in the evenings, and then on the weekends, because I was still working like my corporate day-to-day job. And pretty much for the most part, all of my jobs, I was at least a manager level. So I had that flexibility where I wasn't clocking in and out. I just let my performance speak for itself, and I'm out by 3:30 because I was doing it, and because I had other people on my team that were able to perform well. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sure that'll be edited out. So because I was able to, you know, go ahead and open it, I said, okay, I'll just work there on the weekends. So that way I can feed my passion. I didn't have to pay any overhead because the booth rent that I was making was enough to cover my overhead. Plus I was able to pay myself quarterly. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is perfect. Then what ended up happening is I had just kind of made the decision where I was just like, I'm tired. I'm just tired of working so hard for someone else. And I had worked and I banked and I made like more money than I ever made in my whole life, but I wasn't able to enjoy it. Like at a certain point, you can only order so many bags, you can only, you know, pay for so many conveniences, and to a certain point where I was forgetting different people that had passed away because I wasn't able to go to funerals, birthday parties, baby showers, weddings. So it's like kind of like, what's the point of making all this money when you can only really take work off once a quarter? And even then, your sales quota got to be so high and over the top for you not to even be frowned upon for taking a day off. Right. So yeah, so I was like, I want more for myself. So before COVID, I had like a personal experience that happened where long and short of it is I had went through some different IVF, which is basically to address fertility issues. I went through it twice. And the second time I successfully got pregnant, but then I delivered too early and my son didn't survive. And it just really broke me. And I had took time off of work. My job had gave me like 4 months off of work to just get myself together. And I just said to myself, you know what? And I'm very much in tune with, God. So sorry if I'm offending anybody, but I said, God, if you bring me up out of this right here, I'm gonna live. Like I'm living, but I'm gonna live. So he brought me up out of it. Like I didn't think that was gonna happen. I didn't think I would ever feel normal again. And once I was able to raise up out of that traumatic experience, I went back to work for only a month because I was like, my team, they've been slacking a little bit. I have stores I'm, required to lead. I said, I at least need to make sure everybody get a decent commission check this quarter. So I went back, and I just like grinded it out, put things in, different team members' names, like just doing things to help them because I had been gone for 3 months. And then once I got everybody above board, I left. And ideally, I was like, I want a fresh start. I don't even want to come back to the same salon. I want to open up another salon. I want to move towards Oakland County because at the time, that's where I was living. And that's where most of my clientele was coming from. But the people that were in the salon, they were just making excuses as to why they didn't want to go. Oh, I have to go up on my prices. I'm going to lose my clients. People are not going to want to drive past 8 Mile because, in Detroit, people don't really have licenses like that. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I was like, you know what? Y'all can stay put. I'll just go. So I've worked out of Southfield, Michigan for the last 3 years. And then I actually just moved to Rochester Hills about almost 3 months ago. But it's been good because a lot of people said, we're moving that far from the city because I'm about a 25-30 minute drive. And people are like, going out that far, you're going to actually lose clients. So actually I gained clients because what happened is a lot of my clients already lived Bloomfield, Troy, surrounding cities, areas, and Rochester Hills. And then they started to bring their friends who hadn't even been getting their hair done because it ain't really know. There isn't very many stylists that can accommodate textured hair. In a classy way.
Not a master's, even if you speak Ebonics sometimes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sure. and not have to get braids, right? Because everywhere you go, people can do braids. So has actually been really well for me. The community has been very welcoming to me. Other hairstylists and barbers, they've been, referring their clients' wives and things like that, just because what I'm doing is still a specialty. Not only is it that I know how to work with texture hair, but I'm also capable of doing luxury hair extensions, which most people in Michigan are not. So basically I was not prepared. But I just went through the motions and I just kept pushing through. There were many a times things happened beyond my control. I can remember at my salon in Detroit not having any air. They couldn't figure out the blower. The air unit was brand new, but the blower wasn't blowing cold air, and having to accommodate stylists and their clients, having to have tough conversations to where they work in different shifts. So there's not so many people in the client, in the salon at the same time. I can remember the water not working or having plumbing issues, or I can remember there was times where, even though the hair industry, they always say it's recession proof, it is very up and down as far as what you make, and you have to be very disciplined not to spend money as fast as you make it, which is hard when you're getting paid cash, right? So there's many times where I have to make sure that I can cover my overhead just in case everybody cancel. I've learned from that though. Now I require deposits because I had, when people cancel, and I get it. Oh, I forgot my son had a little league game. Oh, I'm having a rough day at work. I'm not going to be able to get my hair done, or I got to go out of town. And I think those are all valid reasons, but it's not a good excuse to not financially compensate that person, because you booked your appointment 2 weeks ago for that color or that haircut, right? So when I did my budget and my books, I accommodated that I'm going to at least make this much. So if 1 or 2 people cancel and don't show up, then now I'm on the hook for a couple $100. My budget is in a deficit, and they usually cancel the last minute. So it's not enough time for me to market to try to get somebody else in the books to replace them. Right. So I've come up with a pretty strict deposit policy and cancellation policy. I haven't had any issues. I've had a few outliers here or there, where like people that just didn't come back, but I just say, those aren't my clients, because I have clients who have a business meeting and it ran over, and they were like, you know what, I can't come today. I'll come, your next opening. They pay me a full $300-400, and then they still come in 3 or 4 days and pay another $300-400 plus a tip. They never ask questions. They never, you know what I mean? Like, so you just deal with people that actually respect you and respect what you do in your policy. And I feel like that has been probably the biggest point for me is being able to hold my clients accountable to actually like pay those deposits. Some people get kind of crazy with it, but I just try to, keep it straightforward. It's a percentage based on whatever their service is, but it keeps me with less anxiety, and I'm able to like run a successful business without having to always book new clients. I love new clients, but I'm able to just retain the clients that I have. They book, I have a deposit, and I know that I'm going to have clients. It was hard for years just going into the week with 3 clients. Now by the end of the week, probably did 25, but just going into the week, only 3 people on the books, like that's a terrible way to feel. So yeah.
Well, thank you. A lot of information, but yeah, it really sounds like you were born to be an entrepreneur. Figuring things out with the build out and everything.
I feel like I'm putting Lola to sleep over there.
No, not at all. Actually,
you, Lola.
I took in everything you said, and my heart hurts for you. I'll tell you right now, God is behind everything that we do every day, all day. So me personally, I would never take, when anybody speaks of God, that's one of our biggest things. Even at our office, I'm an affiliate of the Keller Williams office, and it says God, family, business. Those are the 3 things that we follow in the respectable order. So, I'm so sorry for your loss and what you went through, but, I believe that you have an angel in heaven waiting for you. And, God is only protecting you from here on. And I'm sure your baby's around you at all times. So I've had 2 miscarriages. So as a woman to woman, mother to mother, I feel for you, and it resonated deep with me. And one of my makeup artist actually had a very hard time taking deposits from her clients. So I forced her, and I said, Sarah, that's it. You want people to respect you, and you want credibility, and you want people to show up to their appointments. You need to start doing it. So it's funny. Sometimes I'll take her phone and I'll respond, I'm sorry, your deposit is not refundable. I'm sorry for, the fact that you have to cancel for 1, 2, 3 reason. Like you said, Monique, it's a valid reason, but it doesn't mean like she could have replaced that appointment with somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's the right, proper way to handle business. And guess what, Monique, if people leave because you took their deposit, those are not the type of clients that you want anyways. You want people that are going to respect your time and to understand that 1 hour that they had booked with you is just as important as that 1 hour that they couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. So no, you did not put me to sleep.
But yeah, thanks, Monique, for that. And yes, obviously, I'm glad to see that you're doing better. I'm sure, I just cannot even imagine. And everything you said is really valid. I just love your journey. You're not the first one. I mean, Lee also mentioned that her landlord built her first place out. And I had a previous, Cooking with Q. She also said that her kitchen got built out by the landlord, or he helped with free rent. So I loved what you said, that you reminded what they said in college, everything is negotiable. And because I think, especially as women, sometimes if somebody tells us, okay, it's $5,000, we're like, oh, $5,000. But we never think to say, no, I want to pay $4,200. Can we meet, because we're just too timid at times. So it's good to hear, that you can make suggestions. And this older gentleman didn't even at first understand where you were going with it. But in the end, he said himself, it makes sense. And it worked out for the both of you. So it's awesome to hear. Thanks for sharing your story. And Lola, how did you prepare for your business, your title company?
So I started off as a one-man shop.
Like everybody always says, you have to have 6 months saved up. It doesn't sound like any of you so far had that. So let's hear if Lola had it.
Nope, I had no idea what I was getting into. I was a one-man shop. I had no idea. I started in downtown Detroit in a small 300 square foot office in the Ford building on Griswold. And my rent was $300 a month. And I was a one-man shop. So now I have 20 employees, and I did all of their jobs on my own for several months until I hired employees. And what Lee said earlier, hiring employees is the scariest thing, because now every entrepreneur book you read, it says pay yourself and pay yourself first. It's hard when you have employees. You have to make sure you're going to make it. Eventually I left who's my ex-husband at the time was my husband. He had convinced me to move into a storefront on Michigan Avenue in West downtown Dearborn, paying $3,000 a month, and I was scared. And I said, that's crazy. And he's like, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. And I'm a big believer in the law of attraction and manifestations and putting in the universe what it is that you want. So instead of saying, so he kept telling me, come on, you're the queen of this talk. You don't talk like that. And he was right. I knew if I put my mind to it, I could make it and I'd be fine. Now I'm so proud to say that I own my own building.
Oh, wow.
I purchased it in 2019 in downtown Dearborn, in like one of the hottest areas. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I finished the build out March 2nd, 2020 is when I moved in with all of my girls. By the way, all of the girls that work in my office are females. We're just like a big group of women, very hormonal. Whoa, it gets really hard sometimes. So we moved in March 2nd, 2020, and then Big Gretch shut us down within 2 weeks. So the pandemic happened and I freaked out. But because I had an SBA loan, I had taken out an SBA loan to purchase my building, the government kicked in and paid. They didn't defer the payments. They actually paid about 6 or 9 months worth of payments for all SBA loan holders. So it was incredible. And talk about God, that was God watching over me, I believe, so it was really scary. Even purchasing my own building, I knew I was ready for it and I was so excited, but it was a really, really huge milestone for me, and it's something that I'm really proud of. So
we're proud of
when I went in,
Lola, that's really awesome.
And I love those
so much. Thank you. I did the build out myself.
I love those little moments. And I feel like I didn't experience those kind of moments until I went into entrepreneurship. Like, those moments where you're just like, what the heck am I going to do? And then out of nowhere, he just come with that fire. Like he spin a block like I watching, you know what I mean? Like I love those moments because it just reaffirms your faith and makes you keep.
And that's why they say, like, truly embrace the journey that you're on, because once you get to that end point, you're like, okay, what's next? No, you don't want to get to the end point. You want to continue that journey. You want to keep continuing it because that's the funnest part. Like there's nothing satisfying about accomplishing it if you're not going to keep going and keep thriving and keep growing as individuals. So yeah, it wasn't something that I knew what I was doing. I promise you.
So another question that I have, because I'm sure a lot of people that are starting their own business, is how did you decide on a legal entity? Are you all LLCs, incorporated, S corps, especially with having employees, or, you handling hair, scalps, I would think there are certain liabilities. So how did you guys decide on what type of entity to choose? Lola, how did you decide?
So I have, because I own my own building, it's under a separate LLC, that's the name of my business, because I have a JD, so I have a legal background. So I understand the legalities behind different types of companies. So I have one LLC that owns my building. So if somebody slips and falls, that's the company that they would sue. And then my venture title agency, my LLC is the name of the company. Now it's an LLC. However, it's for tax purposes, it's ran through an S corp.
Okay.
Because it was more feasible for me to have an S corp versus running my taxes through an LLC.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Monique?
So for me, initially starting out, I was always told by different CPAs that I've spoken with to do an LLC until you see what it's going to do, and if it popped like it's supposed to, we can always put in, they have a form, I forget the name of it, that they can put in. So let's say the whole year my business operated as an LLC, but then I hit the threshold. Once you hit the threshold of where you're getting double taxed, there's a form that they can submit when they do your taxes to ask them to tax you as a S corp. And then at that point you can transition your company over to an S corp. So I didn't know. I just kind of took the advice of someone else, and I just figured LLC was the easiest. But then once I actually started making money in my business, then I learned, different things.
Okay. What about you, Lee?
LLC with an S corp being taxed, and it flows through for personal. I have a lawyer on my team. Her name is Lisa Burden, and she handles a lot of my legal issues. So she reads all my contracts. She does all that kind of stuff. So I always start with having someone else who knows what they're doing, who has a legal background, make sure that they do all the paperwork properly, do all the articles of organization, blah, blah, blah. So I have 3 different LLCs right now, 2 in Chicago and 1 here, so that everybody is, and we should have done it where every store had its own separate LLC, but we did not do it that way. Lessons learned. You have to get someone who knows what they're doing with that kind of stuff. You can do it yourself, but if you need to have a little bit of advice. And when it comes to leases and negotiations, I took a couple of classes in negotiation, but that's all sales really. And then I go through a lawyer. So a lot of times growing up as a very polite human being, I don't like to ask for things, but if I tell my lawyer, Lisa, who is my contract lawyer, I'm like, okay, ask them for this. Then she does the asking.
Right.
You're back like that. So yeah, I always say get a lawyer involved.
Good. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have a great accountant on my team who actually heavily focuses on entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So the piggyback off of Lee, I definitely believe in having a great attorney on your team or having an accountant who knows the ins and outs of entrepreneurship. He comes from a family of entrepreneurship. I'm sorry.
Is your accountant also a CPA?
He is not a CPA, but he comes from a family of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
He's really young. He was planning and anticipating on becoming a CPA, but his accounting firm grew so rapidly, so big, and he's so good at what he does that he focuses just heavily on the businesses that he has now.
You might have to share his information, Lola.
I sure will.
Okay, so what was unexpected? So you're building your business. What was something that really surprised you? Either that was easier than you thought or harder than you thought, like, something that you thought would be so hard, but in the end wasn't really an issue? Or was there something that you thought, like, did you think, hiring a team would be so easy and then it wasn't? Like, what surprised you about your business, Lee?
Well, a couple of different things happen. Of course, landlords always throw you a curveball when you think everything's going smoothly. That was interesting. And we're not in the original space that we were in because the landlord sold his business to somebody else, who ultimately really did not want me there. Not me personally, but he had another business that wanted to come in that was going to be more profitable. And that's fine. I thought that was going to be awful. I really sick to my stomach, awful. But it turned out to be fantastic. Because I had already been in negotiations for the spot that I'm in right now in the Jefferson Chalmers location. And I just thought, I don't know if anybody's going to come and see me here, but we are a destination. So that worked out beautifully. And the things that are, the human resource juggling is the tough part in building that team, because you build it and everything is going great. And then somebody gets an awesome opportunity. And sometimes you help them get that awesome opportunity and you have to watch them go. And that's tough because then you have to find somebody else to take those shoes. And sometimes they change and find their own opportunity, or sometimes you don't see eye to eye on stuff, and not taking that personally. That's hard, because at the end, in any business that you look at, there's a person attached to it, right? There's a person there. And sometimes people think that it's a person that can give more of themselves because it's a business, right? Nobody really sees people, CEOs, as people. That right there is always something I struggle with. Is people see Busted as an entity, but in the end, there's a person at the top of it that's just trying to make it work, just balancing it every day. And I think that that's probably the toughest thing.
I can see that, because I feel like in the corporate world, like as Monique said, you know, you always held management positions. I feel like I could feel a shift, like just being a manager, people look at you differently. Like it's weird. So I can just imagine that as a CEO, sometimes I could see how they don't even see you as a person anymore. You're this entity, you're the owner. And I could see that some people have assumptions, because we talk, you know, in real estate, I see with landlords, you know, people don't pay their rent. They just assume the landlord can just hack it. Like they don't even consider half the time, maybe the landlord still has a mortgage on this building, but they just assume he's a landlord, she's a landlord, she must have money, like, or whatever they're thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. So I can imagine, you know, sometimes the struggles of being an owner, and they're not even really seeing Lee anymore. They're just seeing this entity.
Right. And that can be, it can be, I don't know, it can hurt your feelings. It can, it just causes conflict. And so becoming that person that can balance the conflict in the business is, it has been interesting. And I've also got now an HR manager that she's the buffer there. And now I can really walk in and help and work at the floor and be the person that helps. You know, there are some customers that really only want to deal with an owner. And that's interesting as well. Yeah. But you know, there's different struggles in everybody's companies that you have to work with. But it all works out. It all works out. The way, and you do realize at the end of the day that I got through that day. That's awesome. I made that move. I got through that flood. I got through, yeah, the flooding has been amazing. But entrepreneurship does not come without a struggle. And that also can be quite exhilarating when you get past it. And you see how strong you are at the end.
Right, right. What about you, Lola? What surprised you about building your business? What was easier or harder than you expected?
So for me, I work in a very male-dominated industry, and I have very strong ties with my community. Like I'm Arab American, so my community is small yet large. So I've been networking since I was a child. My dad was always involved, and so I was always with him. And I believe the struggle for me was seeing people's true colors, because I have such a beautiful community. When there are hardships, I mean, we come together. But there are also many people in the business that did not want to see me succeed. And they did whatever they could possibly do to hurt me. And that was really, really, really hard for me to face, especially because my friends always tell me I'm so naive. And it's just, I like to view myself as more of a positive person. I like to see the best in people. I always give the benefit of the doubt. So I am that person that sees things in a different light. However, it was very hurtful to see what certain people were doing in my industry. They were doing anything to stop me from succeeding. And honestly, I took that pain and I made it, I fueled myself, and actually, they were my motivators, to be honest. I'll never forget. So I took the bar exam once after law school, and I was going through many hardships at home with my husband at the time. Our house caught on fire. He had to move out. My bar exam books and my laptop got stolen out of my car. And it was just a very emotional time in my life. My daughter was only 1. And no, she wasn't even 1, actually. Oh yeah, she was a year and a half. And one of my closest friends had just passed away from cancer. So it was really, really, really rough. And I remember walking in knowing I had set myself up. Like I knew I wasn't going to pass, but I didn't pass the bar exam. And I'll never forget a male in my industry. Somebody introduced me to him and he said, "Hey, meet Lola. I go by the title lady. This is the newest title lady in town." He's like, "Oh, her? She's not a threat." He said, "She didn't even pass her bar exam." Oh. And I will never, ever, ever forget that. But I will tell you, my numbers blew his out of the water, but who's comparing? You know, I'm not comparing. It's just gratifying. But yeah, Yeah, so it was
People don't
very,
realize that sometimes they're messing with the wrong people. It's like we're doing this, we're in competition with ourselves, right? Really, who are you really in competition with? There,
Mhm.
it's really you. What can you accomplish? And when someone says you can't, they better watch it, because you can. You absolutely can. You know what you're passionate about. You know how smart you are. That guy, screw that guy. Who cares, right?
I know. And you know what's ironic? He called me like 3-4 years ago to meet him at his office because he wanted to sell me his business. And I said, show
No
me your
way.
numbers. Yeah.
Look at that.
It was so gratifying.
And that's
Yeah.
respect, right? He did, he found the respect there, but
Mhm.
you earned it, whether you
Definitely.
wanted it or not from him is a different story. So,
Definitely.
good on you.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lola. Monique, what was surprising to you, either easier or harder than you expected building your businesses?
Surprisingly easy was probably building a clientele,
Mhm.
because transitioning from being full-time corporate part-time stylist to full-time stylist, I'm like, really, I don't have enough clients. I thought I did, but I only had a part-time clientele, and really I needed 3 times the amount for it, the math to math.
Mhm.
So, but actually, no, once I started marketing myself as being available, and my clients are kind of like, I don't know, like my walk-in advertisement, they talk to their friends. I started to get referrals, and I would just continue to build. And it just became like kind of a snowball effect. Probably the thing that was surprisingly hardest for me was taking criticism and taking feedback
Mhm.
for my own business. So when I worked in corporate America, I had never had any issues either from my team or from my superiors asking, what I could be doing better, because I wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing. Because I also was in a male dominated industry, and anything that I did, especially sales, corporate sales. But so I always wanted to be the best. But when it's your own business, it's necessary to get the feedback, it's necessary to hear that criticism so that you can build your brand better, but it stings a little bit.
Right.
But I actually got really comfortable with this, surprisingly, because that was always the hardest to me, is to I remember back in the day when I used to manage for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we used to always have to call within 24 hours to see how everything was going, because we noticed that anytime that we got a bad survey, it was something that that 24-hour phone call could have fixed, whether it's explaining the rate, something to do with the car, or just them not understanding the process of what they have to pay for versus what their insurance pays. And by doing that, our scores stay high. So I kind of kept that same habit when I worked for myself, and just sending quick texts to new clients like, hey, how was everything? How is your hair doing? How'd your scalp feel? Were there any take-home products that worked well for you or what have you? And that was a challenge for me, because I knew that if they responded in the way that I didn't want them to, that I personally didn't do something right, that I personally neglected something in their customer experience, as opposed to somebody on my team for a company bigger than me, right? But most of my clients were, they were so taken back by the fact that I cared and that I took the initiative to give them a call. They felt it was more personable, because for whatever reason, the beauty industry is very intimidating for most women. So the fact that you reached out to me, you took time out of your day to call me and to see how this is going, even if I didn't like the way you curled my hair, they're not going to say it in a way that makes you feel small. They'll say it like, I was just thinking, next time I'll try straight, because the curls, once they fail, it just didn't look, I look like a school kid, like, as opposed to, well, I didn't like blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that was difficult, but surprisingly, it turned into, I guess, surprisingly easy. But
And I love it because I just had an experience. I went to a nail shop that's supposed to be a luxury nail shop. I usually get my nails done in Birmingham. I live in Oak Park, so Birmingham is right behind me. And but I've been wanting to we always want to support women businesses, Black businesses, minority businesses. So I went to Detroit. I always wanted to try them out, and I hated the service. They're supposed to be, and I double checked the website afterwards. It states luxury experience. Nail techs cannot even greet you. I sat there for 18 minutes. Then she came back saying, oh, I'm cold, I'm going to get a coat. So she disappeared again. I told her I don't get my nails done a lot because I'm not, and it was horrible, to the point I didn't even give a tip. And I almost, so I was wondering, because they're pretty advanced as well, because I think I gave them, because I think the quality was okay. It was just the service. If you lecture,
yeah.
I mean, they had an attitude because I wasn't picking my colors quick enough. It was just weird. And I told the lady, I don't usually get I get pedicures. I don't get my nails done,
Yeah.
I'm paying $130 just on my nails. Like, can I get some service, Yeah. So it was, I debated, because I did see the owner in the store, and she was nice, and how she interacted with her employees was totally fine. It was just her employees that couldn't even say, I got a pedicure and, my nails, that couldn't even say hello.
Yeah.
As simple as that, or just explain, the process of my, how you're going to do. I didn't know she's going to cut my nails down. I didn't know.
Mm.
And it was just weird, to the point I almost cried. And when she went to get her coat, I almost left. Just the way she approached me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I almost, so I gave them a mid-level rating just because of the quality of the nails. I almost, like you said, I almost expected something from them. And but yeah, so I like hearing that you do, because if you advertise luxury, you better be on point. If if you are charging certain prices, the service, because through my services, oh, you don't have anything to drink, did you want something to drink, like basics.
Mm-hmm.
So my store in Birmingham, they greet me by my, one of the nails came off, so I went to Birmingham and I had them fix it. I would never go back to that one across 8 Mile. So I love hearing that you do, even if it's hard to hear the back, the feedback sometimes, but it's necessary because you want to grow, and you don't want nobody leaving your store almost crying because they felt so shitty. So yeah. All right. With what you know today, is there anything you would do differently?
Yes, I'm gonna, if you ladies don't mind, I'll answer first.
Okay.
If I could go back, I would take the majority of the profits that I had made and buy more real estate with it.
Oh, really?
I'm 36 now. Yeah, I'm 36 now. And the money that I had spent when I first started my business was on things that don't appreciate in value. And now being 36 and having my MBA and seeing how to invest your money and how to have the different streams of income that Monique had mentioned earlier. I wish I would have gotten a head start on what I do now 10 years ago. I could have easily did it and I didn't. So my advice would be to new business owners, save as much as you can and prepare to buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate. It's what's going to make you money in the future. It's a form of generating income, and it's very important.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Lee?
Yeah.
Think you would do differently now?
Well, I learned through doing, so I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would change. I mean, there are things that I wish had gone differently, absolutely, or maybe I'd handled differently, but I wouldn't have learned the lesson to know how to move forward with it. I think that spending more time with family is probably the thing that I regret the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not able to break away to go spend time with people. And I think that's what yeah.
That can be hard. I'm sure you're grinding and grinding, especially you have 6 stores in different locations. So it takes a lot of time and effort, and you have this goal in mind. So I can imagine that you're working a lot. So obviously family and friends probably fall to the wayside a little bit sometimes.
They do. Yeah. Not my son. That, not my husband and my son. They're the the primary. And I've even said to one lady that if the store wasn't going to open, but I had to do something for my son, guess it's going to be late because I've got to get this taken care of. He is the priority. I'll put myself on the back burner before I'll do him, you know.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
What about you, Monique?
If I had to do anything differently, I wish I would have had the guts to simply live my life on my own terms earlier. I wish I wouldn't have waited so long to acquire all this corporate experience. Now, don't get me wrong, I learned a lot working a lot of mid-level executive positions, learning on their dime. And it definitely helped me accelerate faster as a business owner. But I wish I had been more intentional. Like, okay, I'm gonna learn, Enterprise taught me how to read, balance sheets, income statements, how to run a business off my books. This job taught me the psychology of sales. This job taught me how to run a tight inventory. I wish I would have just been more intentional and not just stayed somewhere until I, plateaued out and then went somewhere else. I feel like I would have probably accomplished a little bit more. I'm 36 as well. I think that I would have accomplished a lot more sooner, because there's no doubt about it. Even though I'm hungry, I'm not as hungry as I was in my 20s. Don't have as much energy. So just imagine what force I would have been to be reckoned with.
Right.
Than doing what I was doing now 10 years ago. Like, I would have been dancing circles around people. And I just wish I just had been living life on my own terms, not being afraid of what other people would think based on my ideas, being more self-aware. Like I feel like 30 is when I really started to get self-aware. Like where I was able to acknowledge some of my flaws, acknowledge some of the gaps and what I was good at and not good at, and realize that I can't do everything. Sometimes you got to pay people to do things and it takes you further. I just wish I would have jumped out into this world full force sooner. I wish it hadn't have been like a response to a traumatic event.
Right. Makes sense. And I feel like Lee touched on that a couple of times, or that's what I took from it. And you just mentioned it. Sometimes just, paying for certain services, or with Lee, you said you have certain people in place that take that part over better than you would. And that's so important as well, to free yourself up to, focus on what you're good at. You cannot do everything yourself.
You can't do everything yourself. And ladies, y'all are doing an amazing job. I'm 53. So I didn't take this jump until I was 44 years old. And I guess that's probably keeping me more family focused. Because I do see I'm just old.
No,
I'm just old. But you guys are just killing it in your 30s. Kill it. Keep going.
Yeah, Monique and Lola, I mean, you both way ahead of me at 36. I just figured out at 40 not who I was, but like I said, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I've always been very timid. My mom's a gas station clerk. My dad was in the military for 20 years, and then he was in a civilian job for 20 years. So it was just always just work. Like nothing, like no aspirations, barely any vacations, just work. And that's how I grew up. And but I always had all these aspirations. And my mom even said once, I don't even know where you get it from. She's proud of me. So Monique, 36, I applaud you, but I applaud all three of you. It's just really inspiring to hear your stories. And because you guys are rocking it. You've been in your businesses for years. You made it through COVID. I read through all your bios before I, approached you, because I wanted somebody who was establishing their business. I wanted somebody who, made it through COVID, because I can just imagine how that was for you guys. So I think it's pretty awesome, what you guys are building. Clearly, you guys are not done yet. So that's pretty cool. And so any parting words, to inspiring entrepreneurs, any tips, what would you tell them?
I would just say, just do it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Life is all about risks. And if you don't take it, you'll never know. You don't ever want to look back and say, could have, should have, would have.
Right.
Just do it. Just do what you want. And nothing, even if you feel like you failed, it's a life experience. So like I didn't mention I ran for city council last year. I just did it. I didn't win, and that's okay. That was God's blessing. Like he was protecting me in every avenue, and I didn't see it till later, but I just did it, you know, and that's the most important thing. Just do whatever it is that you want to do at that moment. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it was a great life experience.
Plus you can run again, and it's all about, a friend of mine, she ran for judge and in the last election cycle. She didn't make it either, and she's going to run again because she also said, there's name recognition. The more often you run for something, people will recognize you also. So yeah, I saw that, and I was wondering how it went.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I never want to run for anything
Oh,
politically.
no, you're good.
Great life experience. Yeah, no, my time with my kids is far more valuable.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
What about you, Lee? What are the tips for entrepreneurs?
I say figure out your business and do that. There's going to be a lot of people out there saying you should do it this way, you should do it that way. There's always going to be talk. There's always going to be that little thing in your ear where somebody's saying something. Doesn't matter. Get some blinders on, move forward, have conversations with people that are going to help you figure things out, get through that maze, but don't listen to the naysayers. They're your fuel, right? That's all that is fuel. If you believe in it, you're passionate about it, you can see a way forward, you have conversations, keep on going.
I agree. What about you, Monique?
So in closing, I would probably just say never stop learning. I believe that in whatever next level you want to go within your business, or that you're even considering adding to your current offerings, I would say, one, acquire the knowledge, whether it's listening to podcasts, getting a mentor, or just simply listening to audiobooks or reading them. But entrepreneurs, we tired, our eyes hurt. We need audiobooks on the board. I'm just be honest. Two, I would say apply that knowledge to get a result. So don't just go out and read a bunch of business books or how can I get more time management, or how can I be more purposeful. Don't just read the stuff, actually apply the knowledge to get the result that you need within your business. And then three, I would say monetize the knowledge so that it changes your life. And I think that once you do that a few times and you see like how much of a difference and how much of an impact just you investing in yourself with actual like knowledge pieces, or just educating yourself, once you see how that results in the bottom line in your business, you'll continue to do it, and it'll be effortless, it'll be second nature. And I feel like a lot of people forget to keep learning.
True.
On that note, Monique, the book that changed my life, because my divorce was really hard for me, Enlightenment is Sexy by Valerie Genghis. I actually tweeted the author, and I talked to her sometimes on social media. She followed me back. She's such a sweetheart. She teaches you how to let go of things that you cannot control. And as moms, I feel that we struggle with that tremendously, even as women, as females. So she teaches you how to control, how to let go of those things that you can't control. It's a book that I believe every woman should read. So I put it in the chat box, for you guys, for you ladies to order it.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing book.
Thank you.
Okay.
So don't go anywhere. So I do want to thank you guys. And let me figure this out.